you are cordially invited to celebrate the rise and fall of P. Diddy. Sounds like an A-list party, right? Except this one's happening in federal court, and the guest list includes none other than Will Smith. Once a trusted friend, now a star witness in what's becoming the most explosive celebrity trial of the decade. Yes, that Will Smith, the Fresh Prince, the Hollywood icon. The guy who once popped bottles at Diddy's infamous all-night bashes is now testifying against him. So, what flipped the switch? Why is Will, who once danced under the strobe lights of Diddy's VIP lounges, now exposing him under oath? Let's just say things were never what they seemed. Behind the velvet ropes and champagne showers were secret recordings. Behind the celebrity cameos and million-dollar parties were rituals too dark to mention on cable TV. And at the center of it all, a twisted power game, with blackmail, betrayal, and fear pulling every string. And get this, Will didn't just speak for himself. He hinted at Jaden's hidden trauma. Yeah, Jaden Smith, his own son. And it's connected to the same Hollywood underworld Diddy's now being accused of orchestrating. This isn't just a celebrity feud. It's not about clout or beef. It's a full-blown unraveling of a decades-long empire built on smoke, mirrors, and silence. And Will, he's cracking it wide open. What he revealed in court isn't just damning, it's terrifying. We're talking shadow files, hush money, and a final piece of evidence so shocking, the entire courtroom gasped. Stay with us until the end, because what Will Smith exposed might not just be the end of Diddy's reign. It could blow the lid off all of Hollywood. Flashback to the golden era of the 90s. Hip-hop was thriving, Hollywood was popping, and two of its biggest stars were living their best lives. Sean Diddy Combs and Will Smith. They weren't just famous. They were brothers. Pictured arm in arm at the hottest parties, sharing laughs on private yachts, and clinking glasses in VIP lounges from Miami to LA. When Diddy threw a party, Will was always there, flashing that million-dollar smile, surrounded by music, models, and moguls. It wasn't just glitz, it was power, friendship, and an unbreakable bond in the spotlight. Diddy, the king of bad boy records. Will, the Fresh Prince turned blockbuster king. They ran in the same circles, with mutual respect and legendary charisma. To the world, they were untouchable. But that was then. Fast forward to now, and that glittering friendship? Gone. Will Smith isn't raising a glass to Diddy anymore. He's raising his right hand in federal court, swearing to tell the truth. A truth that could bury the man he once called brother. What happened? How do two icons who once shared red carpets and private jets end up on opposite sides of a legal battlefield? From soulmates to adversaries, something went very wrong. And what's even more chilling, Will isn't testifying for revenge. He's not in court for headlines. He's there because he knows something. Something so serious, so personal, that he's willing to risk his reputation, his legacy, even his family's privacy, to bring it to light. What does Will Smith know? And what could possibly shatter a Hollywood bond that once seemed bulletproof? Whatever it is, it's dark enough to turn trust into terror. Mayday in Manhattan. The streets outside the New York federal courthouse are swarmed with press, flashing cameras, and murmurs of disbelief. Inside, silence. The world holds its breath as Will Smith steps up to the stand, not as a movie star, but as a whistleblower. He scans the courtroom, calm, but you can see it in his eyes. This isn't just legal business. It's personal. Dressed in a tailored black suit, his voice low but unwavering, Will opens with a line that stuns the room into stillness. I lived in fear every single day. No dramatic pause. No theatrics. Just truth. And then he dives in. Will recalls the first time he felt something was off at one of Diddy's parties. They were always branded as exclusive, high-end events, all about the lifestyle, the music, the fame. But once you were inside, there were things that didn't make sense. He talks about rooms with no windows, guards stationed by doors, A-list guests who suddenly vanished mid-party, and the chilling surveillance. There were rooms you couldn't leave, cameras everywhere. No one said it, but we all knew we were being watched. Then the first piece of hard evidence hits. Prosecutors present a 2015 email from Diddy to his inner circle, a message Will says he was never meant to see. It's now been verified by the FBI's Cyber Forensic Unit. One line stands out like a siren. Don't let things get complicated. To the average eye, maybe just corporate speak. But in context, after everything Will describes, it sounds like a warning, a command, a reminder to keep everyone in line. And that's when Will's voice shifts. He reveals he wasn't just an outsider at those parties. He was being groomed, manipulated into silence, made to feel indebted, until he started asking questions. That's when things turned cold. Suddenly, it wasn't about friendship anymore. It was about control, fear, entrapment. Will looks directly at the jury. You think you're at a party. You think you're safe. But it's a trap, and you don't even realize it until it's too late. The courtroom is dead silent. And this is just the beginning. It started after Will began turning down party invites, quietly distancing himself from the scene. That's when the video arrived. An unmarked envelope. No note, just a USB drive. Will says he watched it alone, and what he saw shook him to his core. In the footage, it's clearly him, but not the Will Smith the world knows. He looks dazed, barely conscious, eyes unfocused. He's surrounded by people, music pulsing in the background, but he has no memory of it. I was drugged. That's how they trap us in a nightmare, he told the court. The clip was dated to Diddy's lavish birthday party, but this wasn't some glamorous celebration. Will describes the setting. A massive, secluded mansion guarded by black SUVs. Phones were confiscated at the door. Mirrors lined the halls, not decorative, but two-way, watching from every angle. And the vibe? Nothing like a normal Hollywood bash. This wasn't a party. It was a performance, Will said, his voice breaking. He goes on to describe ritualistic energy in the air, carefully staged scenes, red lights, and unsettling chanting in the background. Celebrities were there, some of them underage, made to perform for shadowy figures watching from upstairs balconies. At one point in the video, a voice comes through clearly. It's Diddy. Will, you sat part of the family, he says eerily. Not invited, inducted. And that's when Will knew. This wasn't about friendship, status, or celebration. It was about control. He realized he'd been recorded in a vulnerable, manipulated state, footage that could ruin his image, destroy his legacy, or worse. That video wasn't a memory, it was leverage. Blackmail. Suddenly, everything clicked. The invites, the secrecy, the tension behind the smiles. Will wasn't just a guest. He was a pawn in a chilling, calculated game. And now, he's breaking the silence. Once Will started backing away, skipping parties, ignoring messages, cutting ties. His life didn't just slow down. It crashed. First, it was subtle. A movie role fell through. Then a streaming deal got put on pause. Next thing he knew, projects he'd already signed were mysteriously canceled, no reason given. And then came the whispers. Will is gay. Will is mentally unstable. Will is cheating on Jada. The tabloids ran wild. Headlines appeared overnight, trashing his image. Overnight, his brand, carefully built over decades, started to fracture. He tells the courtroom, Diddy never said a word to me. No threats, no confrontations. But the message? It was loud and clear. It wasn't just about blackmail. It was about isolation. Taking away everything, clout, credibility, peace of mind. Making him question who he could trust, where he could turn, if anywhere. You have no control over your life, Will recalls someone saying to him. He never says who, but the implication hangs in the air. And then the emotional gut punch. Will pauses, his voice trembling as he says, I lived in fear that the world would see me as a failed man. But even worse, it stopped being about him. The silence, the distancing, it wasn't enough. Because when they couldn't break Will, they went after his son. The tension in the courtroom spikes. You can feel it. That was the breaking point. The moment Will knew this wasn't just about parties or secrets anymore. It was about power and how far someone would go to keep it. And now, Will's done staying quiet. Section 5. Jaden Smith's traumatizing encounter. 400 words. Back in 2013, things still seemed normal, or at least that's what Will thought. Diddy reached out with an invite for young Jaden Smith. The reason? "Let's talk music," Diddy said. A chance for mentorship, for opportunity. Will gave it his blessing. He still trusted Diddy. After all, this was family. But after that meeting, everything changed. Jaden came home a different kid. Gone was the usual spark, the playful energy. Instead, he was withdrawn, silent, afraid. Will tried to break through the wall, asking what happened, but Jaden just shut down. No answers, no explanation. With tears in his eyes, Will confessed in court. "My son was no longer himself." And then the truth came crashing down. Will learned that Diddy's tactics were darker than he ever imagined. The same sinister methods, secret videos, constant intimidation, were used on Jaden. It wasn't mentorship. It was control. It was manipulation. When Will confronted Diddy, he saw the full extent of the power Diddy held. The cold smile, the calm warning. He had all the cards. Will admitted, "It was the worst mistake of my life." That decision to trust, to let his son walk into that world, haunted him. But here's the thing, Will didn't immediately fight back. No, he stayed silent. Not because he was scared of Diddy, but because he was scared for Jaden. He wanted to protect his son from the storm, from the fallout. And that silence? That was the real pain. "I stayed silent to protect my son," Will said, voice cracking. But Diddy crossed a line he could never take back. That betrayal wasn't just personal, it was family. And now, Will Smith is done hiding. He's fighting back, not just for himself, but for Jaden and for every secret this empire tried to bury. The tension in the courtroom spikes as the prosecutor lays out the damning evidence, piece by piece. First, anonymous threatening texts sent to Will, filled with veiled warnings and demands. Then, recorded phone calls capturing Diddy's voice, cold and commanding, making it clear the stakes were real. And finally, a $500,000 bank transfer, sent to a company linked directly to Diddy. Will leans in, voice steady but heavy with meaning. "That wasn't a loan. That was the price I paid to keep my family safe." Suddenly, the web of extortion is no longer just whispers. It's digital, financial, and psychological torture all wrapped into one. But Diddy's legal team is quick to strike back. His lawyer stands, voice sharp and dismissive. No such video exists. They call Will's entire story fabricated, a desperate distraction from Diddy's own mounting scandals. The courtroom shifts, the air thick with tension. Will, his composure cracking for the first time, snaps back fiercely. "You keep lying. You gave me no choice. You destroyed my family." The judge slams the gavel down, silencing the chaos before it spirals out of control. But the silence that follows is deafening. Diddy himself refuses to testify directly, his absence on the stand louder than any words. The message is clear. Silence is the last line of defense. And in this courtroom battle, every word, every look, every pause is a war all its own. The prosecutors lay it out clear. This isn't just about Will Smith. Diddy's web of control? It's been spun for decades, a system built on fear, manipulation, and silence. And Will isn't the only one caught in its grip. But now, Will has finally broken free. He thought staying quiet, playing it safe, would keep the chaos at bay. That silence would mean peace. But silence? It was just another kind of prison. Sitting in that courtroom, Will reflects on how far he's come. He never imagined this day, testifying under oath against someone he once trusted. But the fear, the secrecy, the damage, it all became unbearable. "I never thought I'd be here," he admits softly, voice thick with emotion. "But I couldn't live like that anymore." The room falls into stunned silence. This is more than a trial. It's the unraveling of a legacy, the rise and fall of one of Hollywood's most powerful moguls. And it all started with a birthday party. Now, the world watches as the truth comes to light, a truth wrapped in betrayal, blackmail, and a fight for freedom. Will's fight isn't just his own. It's for everyone who's been silenced. And no matter what happens next, one thing's clear. This empire's days are numbered. From champagne to subpoenas, this is the story of two legends torn apart by darkness. Is this really the beginning of the end for Diddy's empire? How many others have been caught in this twisted web, trapped behind the glitz and glam? We want to hear from you. What do you believe? Is Will Smith a brave truth teller risking it all, or just desperate to save his name? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This tea is just getting started. And trust, you won't want to miss what's coming next. More celebrities are stepping forward, ready to spill secrets that'll shake Hollywood to its core. Who's next? You'll have to stick around to find out. So hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay locked in with every explosive update from this trial and everything else going down behind Hollywood's velvet curtains. This saga is far from over, and you're front row for every shocking moment.